This is a fossil, and it's a fossil of a sea creature called an ammonite. And this ammonite lived its life out in one of our primeval oceans about 500 million years ago. Now, when you hear a figure like 500 million years, it doesn't really register, does it? It's a figure so vast it tends to just wash over you without really meaning anything. So I was quite interested the other night when I was watching a presentation by Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins is a famous evolutionary scientist, and he was giving a presentation on YouTube about evolution and this vast time scale. And Richard Dawkins came up with a very interesting way of presenting this vast expanse of time in a way that we could kind of relate to it. And I'll try and encapsulate what Richard Dawkins said, and also I'll try and add something to it as well. Now, Richard Dawkins had this idea of a thought experiment. Now, this experiment could never be carried out in actuality. It's purely a thought experiment to help us get to grips with this vast expanse of time. And what Richard Dawkins proposed was, if you could have a device that would take photographs of your ancestors. So this device would start off by taking a photograph of me. I'd just have this single photograph of me, and then it would take a photograph of my father, and it would take a photograph of my grandfather and his grandfather, and you get the idea. Now, at the end of, let's say, 100 years, which I guess would be about 5 generations, wouldn't it, 100 years? At the end of 100 years, I'd have a collection of 5 photographs. And I'd look at the last photograph that was taken, and I'd see a man looking very similar to myself. So I'd file these photographs away on a bookshelf, and then I'd let the experiment run on. And I'd let the experiment run on for 1,000 years. Now, at the end of 1,000 years, I'd have a collection of 50 photographs, and 50 photographs would probably be about an inch thick, wouldn't it? And once again, I'd look at the last photograph that was taken, and I'd see a photograph once again of a man looking not unlike me. Perhaps he might have a beard, might be a bit shorter than me, but very similar to myself. So I'd once again file these photographs away on my bookshelf and let the experiment run on. And I'd let it run on for 1 million years. Now, after 1 million years, I'd now have 50,000 photographs, and I'd probably need to extend my bookshelf, because I'd have a stack of photographs that would extend for 83 feet. Now, once again, I'd take the last photograph that was taken and have a look at it. Now, I'd see now a creature looking quite a bit different to me. It would be one of the early hominids, which would be a cross between an ape and a human. Be quite a bit smaller than me, but still walking upright and probably using tools and weapons maybe. So once again, we file our photographs away on the shelf, which is getting longer and longer, and we let the experiment run on, and we let it run on for 200 million years. Now, at the end of 200 million years, by my calculation here, I've got over 1 million photographs, and my bookshelf needs to be extended by over 1,000 feet. And once again, I take the last photograph that was taken, And now I'm seeing something that looks quite a lot different to me. What I'm looking at now is a photograph of a small rodent, a small furry rodent looking a bit like a rat. And once again we file our photographs away and we let the experiment run on. And now the experiment runs on for 500 million years. This is a time contemporary with our fossilised ammonite. And now I find myself with a stack of photographs that's over 3,000 feet long. My bookshelf is getting very long. And I take the last photograph that was taken once again and have a look at it. And this time I'm looking at a photograph of a fish, one of our early ancestors. Well, once again we file our photographs away on this incredibly long bookshelf, and we let the experiment run on once again, and we let it run on for 1 billion years. Now, after 1 billion years, I have a collection of 5 million photographs, and this stack of photographs now extends for a distance of 2 miles. And once again I look at the last photograph that was taken, and now I'm just looking at a photograph of a simple amoeba. So we've gone almost as far as we can go. Perhaps we can go a little bit further just for the fun of it. We go back 3 billion years, and at the end of 3 billion years I now have a stack of 15 million photographs which extends for a distance of 10 miles. And I look at the last photograph in the series. I'm looking now at a photograph of a simple bacteria, almost back to the origin of life. But of course, even a simple bacteria is extremely complex, and it's not really well known how life first got going, but it seems likely that there must have been an individual molecule that by some random process became capable of self-replication. And of course, once self-replication gets going by a process of natural selection, it could evolve into DNA, which is the precursor of life. Now, to my way of thinking, there's a bit of a conundrum here. It's a conundrum to me, at least. And here's the thing. If we consider this top page, which is a photograph of me, this is now, this is the present time. Now, this top page is unique. It's completely different to all the pages that preceded it, because on this top page we've evolved civilization, we've evolved technology. It's a very special time. Now, that being the case, if I consider that my birth was a random event, I would have to conclude that I could have been born on any one of these pages. I could have been a hominid, I could have been a furry rodent, I could have been a fish. What are the chances of me being born on this unique page? Well, I did have a go at working out the chances actually, and arithmetic's not my strongest point, but I've calculated that the chances of me being born on this unique page are 150 million to 1. It's a bit like winning the lottery about 5 times in a row. So It really does make you think, doesn't it? And it kind of makes you feel a bit special. And if that doesn't make you feel a bit privileged, well, I really don't know what will.